This week on the Erotic Awakening Podcast, episode 738, Resources for Submissives, Polyamory Events, and Blowjobs. Welcome to Erotic Awakening, an exploration of all things erotic. If you are offended by adult topics or prohibited by law, it's recommended you stop listening right now. First, per usual, I'd like to thank the amazing patrons of Erotic Awakening. You have kept and continue to keep this show and educational work alive and thriving. This week, a special welcome to our newest supporter, Celeste. If you'd like to be a part of the team that supports this continuing work, head over to patreon.com/Erotic Awakening and sign up today. Hi, everyone. I'm Dawn, and I'm here this week to continue the conversations on power exchange, polyamory, sacred sexuality, and everything in between. So today we are, or I am, I guess, exploring resources for submissives. And the reason I bring this up is because I just went to a submissive retreat a couple of weekends ago, and I am still enjoying the effects of having done so. I have been a collared slave for more than 25 years, and I still need resources. And now that I'm going through the split, through life changes, I need the support. I need these resources in a different way right now, but they're still very important. So, resources for submissives. Now, if you are a dominant, obviously think about this on the dominant side as well. But as a submissive, I'm going to talk about submissive resources. First of all, is the retreat that I went on. Did you guys even know that there were retreats for submissives? I may have mentioned this last week, a couple of these, but over the years, I've been on a retreat in DC. There was one that used to be held in Tennessee. I don't know if it's still being held or not. I heard of one in Washington State, and this one was outside of Minneapolis. So there are retreats, and if you watch what I do, there's probably going to be some more options for that as well. I loved the Minneapolis one, and I will be back to that one. I loved how it was run. I loved the people that were there. It was just really, really cool to be in a place where it was all submissives. We got to share our stories, share our experiences, share our pain, and share our joy. I mean, it wasn't just pain, there was also joy. There was discussions on how to take care of ourselves so that we weren't serving from an empty cup. There were discussions on identity. What is the difference between a submissive and a slave? Hint, it depends. We all had different answers. So retreats, is that the top of my list? That could be the top of my list for right now. But like I said, that's because I just had that experience. Also, roundtables. I used to be one of the facilitators of the AIS Submissive Roundtable in Columbus. Did that for like 6 years. There was 4 of us that did that. We talked about all kinds of things. We met once a month. It was only for submissives and bottoms. Unless you were a switch, you could come as a switch, but you had to wear your submissive hat. Now, I haven't done that since COVID. We closed down the space, stopped meeting as groups, things like that. But I used to do it on Zoom as well. For a while, I ran monthly submissive roundtables. Maybe I should start that again for patrons. That's an idea. And then last weekend, so just a couple of days ago, I went up to Madison, and there's a bottoms circle up there. And that was pretty cool. This time we talked about moving on after a power exchange breakup. So there was like 10 of us there, and there was a few that have been through this before, a few that were curious to listen and shared a lot of ideas, shared a lot of how to move on, things like that. So all of this stuff, very powerful stuff. And when you, I was going to say, when you don't live mainstream, you need this kind of support. But even, I mean, everybody needs support like this in one form or another. So it's really empowering. Is that the right word? I'm not sure. But it's really awesome when you have like-minded people that you can share with and discuss things with and stuff like that. Some more resources for submissives. We've got retreats, we've got roundtables, we've got support groups, and then there's online classes. There are so many online classes. Of course, I'm going to toot my own horn. I love my classes that I have out there for submissives, but there's a lot more as well. There's also conventions, right? So there are weekend conventions, there are online educational things, not just classes, but also events and all kinds of stuff that we can find. One of the things that I have to remember, and I was talking to a friend, I was thinking about getting rid of all my power exchange classes for a while. And he pointed out that sometimes it's rare to have a submissive led class for submissives at events. So I went through the list of classes and I picked out some that I wanted to keep. And I will have those available in person at weekend conventions. So look for some submissive led classes. And then, okay, Naughty Revival is coming up. I'll definitely be teaching Power Exchange classes there. What am I teaching? I am teaching Power Exchange and Polyamory Successfully, Living MS Your Way. Oh, what's the third one? The third one is Designing Your Power Exchange Contracts. And then the fourth one is just fun, slutty sex for real relationships. You guys will get to hear stories. Even if you have taken this class before, you are going to hear new stories because I have 20 years of stories that I haven't shared in that class. That one will be fun. But anyway, so submissive classes led by submissives. There are some powerful ones out there that are led by dominants as well. You can learn some stuff from those. I find the more powerful ones to be led by submissives for submissives that have lived as a submissive. So just a lot more stories there, a lot more, yeah, a lot more relative stuff. Anyway, now, of course, there's also a podcast. There are a couple of kink podcasts out there, and a lot of them have really good information for submissives. Obviously, this one does. And I'm going to have some interaction with some of those other podcasts soon, and them on this podcast, me on their podcast, like we've done over the years. Podcasts, definitely. Books, there's some good books out there. This is going to feel like a commercial for me and mine and Dan's stuff. So there's some good books out there. I can list a few. Living MS is still one of my favorite books. And then Hearts and Collars, absolutely. I love that book. I will continue to promote that book. It's got so much great stuff in it. And then Lead, Follow, Love. Dan and I wrote that with Kevin and Katie. I'm gonna tell you, that is still, yeah, those three books are still my top. Forget the fact that I'm a co-author. Reading that book later, after it was edited, after it was published, I still think these are three of the top books in Power Exchange, and they have great stuff in there for submissives. So those are the resources that I would suggest right now. Personally, top ones would be retreats and roundtables that are for submissives only. That's how you get information on how to live this stuff for real. You can go on to places like Fetlife, join some submissive groups and ask questions there, but you never know who is responding. You never know if that person actually lives the lifestyle or if they're answering through theory or if they're even a submissive. So yes, you can go out there and do that if you do not have the finances or the access to get to retreats or events or roundtables. But take what you learn from groups, online groups, take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a shaker of salt. Ask more than one person if you have questions. So, and you can always reach out to me. Obviously, I only have one opinion, right? So make sure you're reaching out to multiple people if you have questions. But like I said, otherwise, what I recommend is doing this all in person so that you can meet real people that have actually lived this. And if you have any questions for me in person, I'm going to be out there. My presenting and vending stuff is getting ready to start up in just a couple of weeks. I've got more to do. So if you'd like to share a cup of coffee or conversation, here's where you can find me in person. I'm going to be at Satiricon Vendor Fair in Madison in just a couple of weeks. And then Milwaukee's Naughty Munch in November. I'll be presenting on negotiations and vending. I'll be vending at BizBaz in Minneapolis in November. Looking forward to bringing my hooded aftercare blankets for that one and the books. Naughty Revival in Minneapolis in December. I'll be presenting and having room parties. So if you're going to be there, let me know. And my newest one is Intrigue in Indianapolis. So that's in February, and I'm going to be presenting and vending. Not that I really want to be in Indianapolis in February, but I have friends and people there, and this is just going to be so much fun. I love that event. Keep up with all the places I'm presenting or vending, my online classes and intensives and retreats, book news, discounts, and more via the Erotic Awakening newsletter, and get your EA shout out like Joe from Texas. Head over to eroticawakening.com and subscribe today. So the other thing that came to my notice today was polyamory events, as in I'm looking to figure out which events I'm going to present at or vend at next year, 2026. And I have two people that have given me their spreadsheets of events. And then I combined those two because one was kink focused, one was leather focused. And I combined the two and then I organized it by month. And now I can see what regions that I'm going to try to reach out to, kind of plan out my nomad map. And someone asked me if I was going to be doing, I think it's Love Fest in Indianapolis in November. And I'm like, no, I didn't even know that was going on. I've already got plans for that weekend in Minneapolis. And I'm like, how did I miss that? So I have a link to Alan's list of polyamory events. I have had this link since before we ran Beyond the Love. We had Alan at Beyond the Love a couple of times as our news reporter sort of thing, as our media specialist. And I'm looking at some old notes or a bookmark. I'm not sure what I was looking at, but I came across the link again for Alan's list of polyamory events. So I went to his link. I'm getting ready to pull it up now. I went to his link and I'm going to have this on the show notes as well. But there's a lot of events going on. Oh, it's called the Midwest Love Fest, November 7 through 9 in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, even though most of these are kind of like mainstream polyamory, and I don't really fit in with that, even though I co-ran an event for that for 6 years, there's some in here that have kink classes. That's where I fit in. So I'm looking at this link and there is, let's see, for 2026, let's scroll down to that. There's something in Germany, something in Phoenix in March. I'm going to be looking at that to see if that's something that I want to do. It looks like the same event I taught for down in Tucson. Looks like it's in Phoenix now. There is a Minnesota Polycon. All it says is spring of 2026. There is Poly Big Fun in May in Texas, Spain, Germany, Colorado Poly Weekend. It says summer of 2026. Spain. I want to get down to the other one that I saw. There's a Polyamory Expo. It says summer of 2026 in Washington State. Okay, so this one I absolutely love. This is called New Culture, and it's in West Virginia. It is in a beautiful space in West Virginia. We got to teach there a couple of years ago. I've been down there to teach on my own. We took the motorcycles down there to teach one year. Beautiful, beautiful countryside. So again, it's called New Culture. And this is Network for a New Culture, Summer Camp East, summer of 2026. Great people. I can't talk that one up enough. Pollywood is in Ontario. Oh my gosh, Rocky Mountain. There's camps at Burning Man. There's just so much going on. Madrid, Oregon, the UK. Oh, Kimchi Cuddles. There's a comic by Kimchi Cuddles. She's been at Beyond the Love as well. We had her as a guest speaker and stuff. So this is great. Her poly cartoons are just fabulous. So much information on this website about polyamory if you are interested. Again, it's Alan's list of polyamory events, and the website is polyevents.blogspot.com. And again, I will have that on the show notes, just so much information. He keeps up with the news and stuff as well. I just thought I would share that with you guys because I was super excited at finding it, and now I get to add that to my spreadsheet. I'm also going to be adding retreats, and I feel like there's a couple of other things I'm adding to my spreadsheet, but yeah, super excited. So last night, I went to a munch. And during that munch, someone started talking about blowjobs. And I'm like, oh, I talk about blowjobs a lot. And they're like, yeah, I'm getting ready to take a class on it. And I'm like, oh, you don't have to take a class on blowjobs. Take a class on mindfulness. And they're like, what? I'm like, okay, so I've talked about this before, but when I teach my mindfulness class, I talk about giving blowjobs or oral sex or, whatever the pieces and parts are. And I'm like, yeah, blowjobs, all you need is mindfulness. You don't need tips and tricks. And they're like, oh, but I'm new. I haven't really done like blowjobs before. My ex-boyfriend didn't like it, so I'm kind of new to it. And I'm like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense to take a class so that you get a little bit of confidence in what you're doing and things like that. I'm like, but after you learn all that, remember that it's about mindfulness. It's not about doing ABCs. It's not about doing this skill and that skill. To get really good at it, you need to be there in the moment so that you can always, oh gosh, I was getting ready to say something that I learned in my hypnosis training. Always be calibrating, which means pay attention. I'm going to have to teach a class called Blowjob ABCs. Oh my God, I see it now. Writing down notes. So, blowjobs, always be calibrating. And what that means is that you're paying attention to their sounds, their movements, their motions, their vibration, their energy, their just all the things. If you're mindful, you're always paying attention and calibrating. I say this, and then I'm telling her that you don't have to take a blowjob class. And then I'm admitting that I've never taken a blowjob class because I believe mindfulness is the most important. Well, then I sat back and I'm like, so why else am I resisting taking a class on that? Okay, well, I don't want to mess up my mindfulness practice when it comes to that. But I also told myself that as I am in this lifestyle slash community longer, I recognize that there are things that I poo-pooed at the beginning of my path And then I leaned into the things that I knew I liked and kind of ignored everything else. I had opportunities to take blowjob classes from Nina Hartley, the porn star. I didn't do it. And now I'm thinking, all right, there's things I have not done. After 25 years of walking this path, there's things I haven't done, and one of them is a blowjob class. So I found one online. I think it's on my calendar for January or February. I'm going to go ahead and take that class. And when I take it, I'll let you guys know how that goes. And I'll probably be looking for people to practice on. Yeah, that's how I'm going to word that. So anyway, just going to throw that out there. That's a couple months down the road. Now, if you have any more resources, I would absolutely be open to doing more classes or anything like that. And yeah, if you have any resources, this whole podcast seems to be about resources, resources for submissives, resources for polyamory, resources for blowjobs. If you have anything to share, feel free to reach out to me on Fetlife. I am Dawn_Awakening, or you can reach out to Erotic Awakening, all one word. I check both of those. Erotic Awakening on Instagram, EA Podcast Dawn on TikTok, or just email me at dawn@eroticawakening.com. So resources, use those address, or if you have any tentacle, sex items, or werewolf erotica, I would love to see what you have on that. Trevere and Enigma have been keeping me supplied, but yeah, I'm always open for more. Be a part of the Erotic Awakening podcast community. You can become a patron of the show and get early access to the ad-free version of the podcast, a free copy of the audiobook Polyamory Toolkit, free ebooks, discount on monthly Zoom classes, member-only Discord access, and more. Find all the goodies at patreon.com/Erotic Awakening today. And then help others find us. Take a moment to support the podcast by giving us high ratings wherever you listen to the podcast. And most importantly, tell your friends about the show. And join the conversation with other listeners. Use the links from the Erotic Awakening website for our interactive Discord channel. Until next time, may your journey be filled with passion, joy, and a bit of naughtiness. Bye, everyone.